The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. It's just a few days before Christmas. Is that Bing? So I saw this the other day, this note on Bing Crosby. I did not know this, but apparently he was, at one point in time, a 20% owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And he, and apparently part of his deal is that when he was going to games, they started losing. And so he stopped going to the games. And as a result, he didn't go to Game 7 of the 1960 World Series, which the Pirates came back and won. That's the Dick Mazeroski game, or Bill Mazeroski game off of Ralph Terry, the home run. But he arranged to have a special film of the game done, and it's the only copy of a full inning, 9-inning games of that particular game. Would not have been done if Bing Crosby hadn't felt like he was a bad luck charm for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it was called like a myopic or something along those lines. Just that it was the type of film or whatever that was available at the time. It wasn't videotape, and it wasn't true film. But anyway, the bottom line is a result of that, there is a full 9 innings of the 1960 Game 7 of the World Series, thanks to Bing Crosby.
That's cool.
So that'll give you a little, conversation starter as you're, going about your parties and family gatherings this weekend. Not a good result for the Lady Raiders in Maui last night, or really the last couple of nights. They fell to Oregon State last night, 77-65. So a 12-point loss for them. And again, and this has been a problem even in some of the games that they've won handily, of not being able to get off to a good start. And again, last night that was the case. They get out and they trail early, and against teams that you should handily beat, it's hard to spot teams 10, 12, and in this case, it was a 13-point lead at the end of the first quarter. And even though they closed the gap a little bit and got it down to, I guess, at one point in time, it was, 6 points or something like that, 21-16, 5 points. They had to go on an 8-0 run to start the second quarter to get within 5, but then they answered with a 10-0 run of their own, which we know, in basketball, you're going to have, it's a game of runs. Mm-hmm. But they weren't able to protect the paint last night. They gave up 28 points in the paint and only scored 18 on their own, and then didn't shoot well at all from beyond the arc. Texas Tech was 3 of 15 from beyond the arc last night, and you can't get outshot from beyond the arc and expect to win ball games. Oregon State was 11 of 25 last night. They did. This is a crazy number. Tech only had 8 turnovers last night, which is, I don't think it's a season low, but it's pretty close to a season low, and then scored 33 points off of Oregon State's 24 turnovers.
Yeah, the difference in the game was the 3-point shooting.
No doubt.
I mean, one team makes 11 out of 25, and one makes 3 out of 15. So, I mean, that's a huge difference.
Huge difference.
8 more threes than you made. Shot it at a high percentage, and you shot it at an extremely low percentage. Yeah,
and they make 4 more field goals, and 4 times 3 is 12, and 77 minus 65 is 12. So yeah, you can't have that. So their next action will come up a week from tomorrow at Houston for the start of Big 12 play. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of a stretch for them. They'll travel back from Hawaii today and get in tomorrow, and then scatter off to their various locations for Christmas, and then reconvene and see if they can kind of put it back together and see where it takes them from a standpoint of, okay, now you got to get ready for Big 12 play and see what you can cobble together there, and see what, because now the second season, the real season, however you want to go that. I think really the thought was, man, go to Hawaii and try to split. I mean, obviously trying to win too, but I think the thought was, could you beat Tulsa and then take a run at Oregon State, and unable to beat Tulsa and unable to beat Oregon State. So
yeah, and the scary thing is that Tulsa lost to TCU by 32.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, that's that wasn't the trip that we were hoping for the Lady Raiders. So
no.
Just last night, I mean, we talked about the poor shooting, but just didn't get a lot of contributions. As far as offensively, you had Maupin and Shavers, and really nobody else even close to double figures. You got to get more production from some other guys. Freelon had 7, and Enrique, I guess, had 8. So, and those two were, they were factors, but you just got to have a little bit more.
But you kind of look at just some scores from Big 12 play last night, and these are all ranked teams. Baylor with a 25-point win over Providence, and you spoke of TCU, and they had a 40-point win over Omaha.
And TCU's undefeated, correct?
Yeah, and they're ranked 25th in the country. Mm-hmm. They turned over their complete roster, and Texas is ranked 5th, and they've had a 53-point win over UT Rio Grande Valley.
Nice.
So it is going to be extremely difficult in the Big 12 this year. So you got to figure out how you're going to, like I said, win eight or nine ball games tonight or this in the Big 12. So we'll see. We'll see what transpires. Texas Tech and UT Arlington. What was your take of the Vanderbilt game last weekend? I thought pretty crisp play. I mean, dominating win. Put your foot on the gas and never really let them in the game in the second half.
Yeah, I didn't think Vanderbilt was going to be much of a challenge, and that proved to be the case. I loved how we got off to a good start, and love that Pop got going shooting-wise, which I feel like is, kind of important for this team to take that next level, so to speak, because, I think we've seen some really good things, but I think we know that they can be better once Pop starts really getting going from the outside, and he's been contributing and doing good things for you, just hasn't had that three-point stroke going, and boy, he got it going early on, and that just kind of kick-started the Red Raiders. So, it feels like the forgotten game because it was being played at the same time as the bowl game, or right around that time. And but I think it was a nice win for the Red Raiders and against a decent team. I just looking at their schedule and who they had beaten and who they had lost to, and not a great team. So good win, but still anxious for conference play to get here.
Sure, right, and kind of see when you're hoping that you don't kind of play down, not to speak disparagingly of UT Arlington, but I mean, let's face it. I mean, this is, you're kind of battling Santa Claus a little bit today, just not trying to, check your bag for your flight today at, before 1 o'clock or before 3, so you just want to make sure that you kind of get in there and take care of your business. And
yeah, but UT Arlington's battling the same guy, right? He comes to their house too.
He does.
Mavericks get presents.
I think I said Mustangs earlier, but Mavericks. Yeah. Mavericks, Mustangs. I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah, they're close. They're both horses.
Yes. So yeah, I'm sure they're kind of facing the same thing, But I mean, they have to travel a little bit more than what the Red Raiders do. I mean, they leave from here and go back to Arlington and then scatter.
True.
Okay, so the Red Raiders get to scatter after this, and you just got to make sure that you got everything focused, and kind of just say, okay, here we go. You can get through the next several hours here, then you can go have a couple of days off, and then reconvene after Christmas and get ready for a couple of games. They have a New Year's Day game. I heard you the other day looking for something to do on New Year's Day, a tennis match or something like that. But there's a basketball game too. It's not much of one. I'm looking for something to do. Well, I heard you talking about, if somebody asked you about, if you're going to watch the bowl games, you're like, well, if there's a tennis match that comes up, then that you would take the tennis match over a national semifinal game or something like that. But But I was just offering up the basketball game too, if you wanted. Against Cupcake U. Yeah. I've seen that story before.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Thank you for being with us today. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that, or the mobile app. Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. Do you have anything to put together this year?
No, I do not.
Okay, does that disappoint you? I mean, you seem like you're a guy that kind of likes to have, follow instructions and, complicated things to put together and stuff like that. Does Jamie have a workshop that, like, if there's somebody out there that is just, frustrated and can't put together the Barbie playhouse or the bicycle or something like that, that you would
swing by? I'll be happy to help.
Lend your talents. Okay.
I don't know about talents. I don't know if that's the right word, but sure.
Okay.
I can read directions with you.
You can read directions with it's okay. All right. Mm-hmm. That is it's no shock to you. That's not a skill set that I have. Is reading, following instructions.
Well, you're doing it wrong. Because Santa puts my presents together.
Ah, gotcha.
I don't know what your problem is.
Gotcha. Right.
I don't know what you did to upset Santa, where you've got to put your own presents together.
Sure.
But he puts mine together for me.
There have been years when Santa's left me a note going, "Hey, you were just good enough to just get this." Okay, you got to figure it out for yourself, right? Got to figure it out for yourself. We'll have lots of hoops on the air for you today. Liberty girls and boys, they take on Idalou. That'll be at 3:15. Boys to follow about 4:30. That'll be on 93.1 Texas FM. We'll have Saints and Rams tonight on 100.7 The Score. And then also at 6:30 tonight, the Boca Raton Bowl, and that will feature Syracuse and South Florida tonight. And that'll be here on Double T 97.3. We'll have Red Raider basketball on the air for you today at high noon. Both stations will have it, and 100.7 The Score and Double T 97.3. So that'll be at noon. 1 o'clock play-by-play today from United Supermarkets Arena. I was thinking about this the other day with regard to the NCAA, and there was an announcement yesterday that Michigan has received notice of allegations from the NCAA regarding violations by the football staff during COVID for recruiting dead period. Now, the head football coach, Jim Harbaugh, faces a level 1, and the school 4 level 2 violations. And I was trying to think, when did the NCAA lose its teeth? I mean, it's like the person that has to use. I mean, they don't even have dentures. And it used to be that, like, if the NCAA gumshoes were stumbling around your campus, it was like the fear of God put into fans and administrators and coaches and everything like that. And anymore, the NCAA has basically not even a bark, let alone a bite.
It's sad. It does feel like, I don't know. I feel like about, I don't know, right around COVID, the NCAA just gave up. I mean, they just gave up.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like, I mean, everything was about, the fear of litigation. That, hey, we just have to let the athletes do whatever they want to do. And so we don't want to put in place any rules that are going to hold them back from anything. Whether that be what the money they're making, the schools that they're playing for, and the rules in place about when you can play for certain schools, and we can't make them sit out a year if they transfer, all that, and then you just go through what we saw with the Kansas thing, where you initially have 5 level 1 violations. And everybody in the world knows, hey, nothing's going to happen to Kansas, and guess what?
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened to Kansas, and so nobody has any fear of them because it's just a joke.
Yeah, no, it is, and maybe the last one to really get the bite of the NCAA was Oklahoma State.
Do we feel that Michigan is going to get hit harshly?
No,
I don't.
no,
No.
I don't either. And like I said, I mean, it's just kind of interesting to me because it used to be this way, that the NCAA, I mean, they had supreme power, and that has been just chiseled away and whittled away to where now they have basically no authority, to the point where people are going, we need a football commissioner. And I don't know if that solves anything or not. Having a quote football commissioner, are you really going to secede power to one person to serve over these Power 5 schools and even the group of five or however that works? I see where Chip Kelly, the UCLA coach, who basically he needs to focus more on his football team and recruiting than trying to solve the woes of the NCAA football problem, but suggesting that, hey, we just have one conference. I mean, it's a novel idea. I mean, he's probably not wrong in some aspects of it. I do think we should get to a point where you have football over here and then all the other sports in their respective conferences. I think that would make an awful lot of sense.
Just how do you go back? We needed to figure that out a long time ago. But I completely agree, and that's what Chip Kelly said basically last weekend, right? With UCLA. I completely agree. That's what we need to do. Just have football be a completely separate deal, and then play regional every other sport, including basketball. Yeah. I would be a huge fan of that, but I don't know how you put it all back together again.
I don't either, because the TV money is just it's all ruling.
If ESPN tomorrow decides that's the thing to do, then they'll do it. But until then, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, change the channel. Stay tuned. It's just not going to happen. So anyway, I thought those were a couple of interesting things that kind of just stood out to me with just thinking about things over the last few days, going. When did the NCAA, because it used to be when the gumshoes were on campus, it was like the fear of God was put into everybody, because it was so secretive. It was essentially the CIA is what it was, because you never knew who they were or what they were going to do or what they were going to find. And then when they came out with their ruling, it was like with an iron fist, and there wasn't any ifs or ands or buts about it. But that doesn't really happen anymore. Somebody says this. I thought Kelly made a lot of sense.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Nothing will happen to Michigan, but Rutgers will be ineligible for the NCAA tournament. That's right.
Yeah, I mean it's such a joke.
It is such a joke. All right.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Great to have you with us. You can participate on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app. It's presented by Happy State Bank. Visual Edge IT hotline is open too. So I brought out a couple of recruiting classes from the past, okay?
Okay.
And one of the things that Coach McGuire said about his first class, this is from December the 15th of 2021. I think I asked him, the question was, how will you know this is a success? And basically, if 60% of the class contributes to your football team. So, so it's not real high, 60%. But then when you start looking at some of these names and go, it's a lot of names that still are not familiar. Okay, Joseph Adedire is on this list, but now he's in the transfer portal, so got to kind of take him out of that list. Ben Roberts was on this list, and he was a huge contributor for your football team this year.
Massive.
But then, and Bryson Donald is on this list. Not massive contributor, but a contributor. But then you have a bunch of names that I'm still not familiar with. So I would say that the 60% from the first group, you didn't get there. That doesn't mean that you haven't been successful in what you've been trying to do. It just means that you bring these guys in and you feel like that they're, going to be able to jump to this next level here of Division I college football, and they don't always all make the transition, right? Jalen Peoples is on that list, and among others. So then I looked at a list from...
Did a Dateray go in yesterday?
Am I wrong? I may be wrong. I thought he was in the portal, but I may be. No, it's Josiah. Is it Josiah Pierre that's in the?
Josiah Pierre.
Josiah Pierre. Okay. So my apologies.
Thank you.
My apologies. So Dateray is still with you.
Is Baron Morton in the transfer portal?
He is not.
Just have to ask that question now.
He is not. He is not. He is still not. Okay. How about that? He is still not. He is still not.
Okay.
But thanks for.
Man, you scared me there, Chuck.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
She had some inside info.
No. It's just it's bad memory is what it is, or getting those two for whatever reason. Josiah Pierre and Joseph Dateray are kind of became like the same person for me
because their first name starts with J.
Yes, something along those lines. All right, so then I pulled out 12, 16 of 20. This is a Matt Wells class. Okay, this is basically for the 2021 season. So here's who's on this list. Jerand Bradley. Didn't exactly work out. He is in the transfer portal. Baron Morton is on this list. He's your starting quarterback now.
Yes. Yeah, I just go back to the first one. I mean, you got one great season out of
Bradley. Yeah.
Didn't work out as well as you would hope for, and it looked like it was going to, but... At least you got one really good season out of him.
Mason Tharp's on this list as well. And Cameron Valdez is on this list as well. And in this particular case, this was a year where in the December signing period, you signed 10. So you go from 10 on 12-16 of 20 to 23 on 12-20, 23. In terms of the early signing period.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then the 2020 signing class, this is from December 18th of 2019. Taj Brooks, signed by Matt Wells. Mm-hmm. Ethan Carday, signed by Matt Wells. These are names that stand out to me. Loic Fungi. And is he staying or going? I guess he was in the portal. He caught a touchdown pass for you in the bowl game.
The last I heard, he's still in the portal.
Still in the portal.
I don't know if you're inside information that you got on the portal, guys. But Cameron Valdez is out of the portal.
Yes, I knew that.
He is.
Yeah, I knew that.
Decided to stick with the Red Raiders.
And he's now since gone. But Krishan Merriweather was on that list. But another guy that was on this list from 2019, Caleb Rogers, the offensive lineman from Mansfield, who is coming back for another year. Mm-hmm. Donovan Smith was on this list from that year, and then J.J. Sparkman,
who's in the portal,
was on that list. Another guy from 2020, maybe it's 20. Oh, this is going to go back to 20. So now the 2019 list from February 6th of 2019. Again, this is a Matt Wells class. Tony Bradford, he has turned out to be
good one.
Very, very good for you. Great one. Jonathan Garibay, who he's gone.
You got a great year out of him.
Got a great year out of him.
Mm-hmm. Will forever be loved for a 63-yarder.
Right. Austin McNamara is on that list. And then
great one.
Tyreek Matthews is on that list as well for Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. So again, you start.
Hey, you said it.
Tied at 38.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do
this.
this.
62
you were the one that said it.
Garibay has his foot into it. It may be long enough. It is good. It is good. It is good. Jonathan Garibay has won the game with a 62-yard field goal.
still think one of the best kicks maybe in certainly recent history, because it got you bowl eligible and allowed you to have
and it was 62 yards.
Well, and the other thing too is I think it gave everybody hope and excitement going into an off season.
You think it was one of the best kicks in recent memory?
Well, when I say recent memory, I'm talking about the last 20, 30 years. When you've had some kicks that won you field goals, won you games before.
How many of them were 62 yards?
It was one of the best. I mean, it was one of the best.
Okay.
You don't have to think.
Okay, it was one of the best. It was one of the best.
In the history of the entire program since we've had football since 1923 or whatever.
Yeah. Right. In the 100 years that this university's been around, we've been playing football. And certain number.
That was one of the best.
So you can see just by the handful of names that I've pulled out over the last few years, it's a handful of names that are going to make what I would term significant game-changing, plays or seasons for you. It still is a bit of a crapshoot.
Yeah, no, it's not no brainer. No, every guy you get committed is not going to contribute, is not going to turn out to what you wanted them to be. The numbers are going to continue to go down because a lot of times guys, hey, they maybe weren't what you expected them to be early on, but later on in their careers, whether it be because, just the roster, the way the roster works, or because they get it figured out and they start playing better, all of a sudden they do start becoming contributors for you. But the way it is now, those guys will leave. Yeah. Yeah. And so, you're going to, every school is going to deal with that. Like, oh, that guy could have developed into something and played for us and made it look like we hit more on our recruiting class, but those guys just leave and go somewhere else.
And maybe your best defensive player was recruited by Matt Wells this year. Dadrian Taylor Demerson was in this initial class of Matt Wells's on February the 6th of 2019. So when you look at his class, Bradford, Garibay, Alex Hogan, Ty Matthews, McNamara, and Temerson.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Time now for Jamie's question of the day on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
Okay, this one is wide open for you, gentlemen, and our fine listening audience. Okay. I hope this one's not going to be hard, but I think it is going to be hard. I want you to tell me the number one day in 2023 for the Texas Tech Athletic Department. What was the best day in 2023?
Oh, man. The best day.
So, I mean, that could go greatest win. Mm-hmm. That could go, I mean, let's say you think it's the recruiting class that you just signed yesterday. You just signed your first 5-star recruit in the history of Texas Tech, right? Yeah. Or your highest rated highest rated player in the history of the program. Mm-hmm. You had 2 former athletes representing you extremely well, winning world championships that were marquee players on their team. Mm-hmm. Okay, the spreading the banners far and wide.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is an unexpected answer from me because I am not like a leader in the clubhouse for a fan of this sport.
Oh, yeah.
However, it was probably the best day you had as an athletic department was a combo of ending the Mark Adams era and getting Grant McCaslin as your head coach, because you ended the catastrophe that was the year before season, and it was finished. We knew it was finished. It was just all but the dotting of I's and crossing of T's at the end of the season. And then we all knew who our new head coach was and got to watch him in the NIT tournament do an extended run, so we got to see what Grant McCasland was doing, and we continue to see what he's doing for your program now going forward, where it looks like you've got a group of guys playing together, playing with each other, as opposed to being all out for themselves. That changed your program for, we should implode the building, to, hey, we kind of got a shot right now.
So which day?
I kind of combine those two.
I mean, you're kind of combining.
I'm combining two,
like
but it's the one story, the changing of your head coach in basketball.
So I guess you would have to say the day
Probably
they fired Mark Adams.
I would lean toward the positive in hiring Grant McCasland because of going forward with the future, as opposed to dwelling on the past. But you had to have that first to go up from.
Mm-hmm.
Second, I would say your softball class getting number 2 ranked in the country.
Well, those are two days I didn't really kind of expect from you. Do you have one?
What about the day you started tearing down the south end zone?
That was in 22.
Was it? Okay. See, there you go.
Technically, that was in 22. I think you've had some good days. I think you've had a lot of mediocre days. I don't know if you've had one kind of great day. Take a picture of that day, and that's your Christmas card postcard. That's your Christmas card this year.
Okay, so, like, for example, Jeff brought up the softball thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking into account, and you know I'm a guy that appreciates the other sports, but I'm taking into account the importance of the major sports, right?
Okay.
I'm going to tell you the best day, it's also one of my favorites, was the day we beat Kansas in football. Because I know UCF came after that, but you needed that win to get bowl eligible. The importance of your football team being in a bowl game, all of that is massive, in my opinion, for the athletic department. Just to feel like your program's continuing to move in the right direction.
Winning a road game in Big 12 and
I think
stopping
if
a losing streak.
you don't go to a bowl game, I mean, it's a really, really disaster of a season. Just quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the Kansas game felt like it was the key there. To me, down the stretch there, okay, we can count on beating TCU at home. We can count on beating UCF at home. But in our minds, how many of us were counting on beating Kansas on the road at that point? Probably not many.
No.
I don't know. I wasn't. Okay. So to me, that was the game that really got you to a bowl game. And I just think that's massive. So that would be my answer.
I guess a couple of days that just kind of pop out to me, and look, I can't break down Texas Tech soccer, but that last second win against Texas was one of the highlights of the athletic calendar.
I would say that's the best game of the year. Okay, like the biggest exciting moment. I just don't think it was the most important for the athletic department.
I don't disagree with you on that. I would tell you the game I probably had the most fun at from a football standpoint was Central Florida. Just because our grandson went to the game with us. Okay, so I mean that doesn't help the athletic department at all. But I mean, just me. You asking?
Hey! It helped a little. He bought a ticket.
Yeah, you're asking me personally. I mean, what game? So, the other thing I might take the combined aspect of. Can I take the combined aspect of the Mahomes Super Bowl, the Ludwig Hebert winning Ryder Cup, and Josh Young winning a World Series? Can I pile?
I can't get two things in the same sport that were like a week and a half apart.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You can't get three different athletes in three different sports over a 2-month window.
I think Jeff's answer is a really good one too. The first one, just you're hoping. You're not certain yet, But you're hoping that was a big turn from, just the embarrassment that was what was going on compared to what you feel about the program now. At least I'll speak for myself. So I think that one would be high on the list, and I think that was a really good answer, Jeff.
And I'll just say this, and you're going to hate this answer. I think the kind of culmination of bringing the Matador Club inside the university and all one giant collective was basically probably the biggest day for the athletic department, of getting that all under one roof and having it all organized in a fashion where you could really take advantage of it.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
The Morning Drive. Thank you for being with us today on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz, coming to you this morning from the First United Bank studio. Look forward to hearing from you on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. So we head towards the end of the week, and then Saturday is Christmas Eve, and Sunday Christmas Eve, and Monday is Christmas Day, and Tuesday's the day everybody takes everything back. Not as much anymore, I don't think, because it's hard. It's harder to. Does the Amazon guy come by and pick up stuff off the porch? I don't think so.
You can take it to a store.
I know. I was kind of being facetious.
Oh, okay.
Because back in the day, you would go to your friendly Kmart or Sears or Walmart. I guess Walmart's still in business to a degree. Anyway,
to a degree,
yeah.
I don't know, man. Looks like they're thriving in pretty much every city in America.
Probably so. There's lots generally full. Let's see here. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Can we have a 12 Days of Chuckmas where you have the top 12 goofy sound bites of the year, maybe next year?
How do you limit it to 12?
That's what Jeff said. Right.
I can't remember which ones were this year and which ones were previous years.
Clearly,
I couldn't even remember when we started tearing down the the south end zone.
That was close, though.
They all kind of run together, don't they? I like the once a month fired up, passionate JL. Okay.
I know I'm an old fuddy-duddy, okay? I get it. There's a couple different things. First off, if there had been a racial term used by that coach, he's done, right?
Yes.
Okay? He's done.
Yes.
He is done. Calling other student athletes pieces of blank, is that so much better? Is it better?
Because he's
not
including
racist. Yes.
I'm telling you, both are terrible.
It's
both bad.
extremely derogatory, no question.
Both are terrible.
Yes.
What he called those student athletes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that is so incredibly wrong. If you want to call them terrible players or whatever way you do it,
it's nice to finally beat those guys or what something. I mean, you can
call them losers, call them just whatever.
Yeah.
But to use that term and to act like he should face no punishment, I mean, in my opinion, North Carolina State absolutely has to do something. Okay, I called coach to apologize. I'm sorry, dude, but there are some things you can't apologize for.
Yeah.
You absolutely cannot. And I will also say this, okay? I'm probably more of an old school soul, right? Would you agree with that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many times in the history of ever have we heard coaches, especially old school coaches, say, yeah, that's between me and my players? Okay.
Well, it used to be all the time you'd hear that.
Whether it was, a kid messed up, and so what would you say to this kid? Or what'd you tell your team after the game? Or, what's this punishment for this kid for not going to class? Whatever. That's between me and my team. That's between me and my team. And to me, there's something about a relationship with coaches and players that are in that locker room, okay? It's their foxhole, so to speak. And I, for one, don't love that we now are allowed in there. And I'm sure there are a lot of fans that love those speeches. But I feel like that's a sacred thing between coaches and players. And we really shouldn't be allowed in there. and that's their world. And until like they've earned the right to be in that world, and we haven't. And so like, I don't think coaches should be presenting these things to the world. I think that should be them and their team celebrating together. And when you all of a sudden want to put that out there to everyone else, then I start thinking it's an act. It's a show. Okay? I'm putting on a show instead of it really truly being about me and my guys.
Yeah, I think it's one thing when they're like presenting the game ball after the NFL games or something like that, because that's become pretty common, and the coach knows clearly that the camera's there, or they're giving the team the Monday off or something along those lines. It's the ones where it's extremely personal, where you see that the message is really to the players, and somebody's pulled out their cell phone, or they've got a camera in the back of the room, and then you realize, oh, we're really inside the inner circle here. Because I'll tell you, Coach Kingsbury was one that would say, I don't know if he used the term that's between me and my players, or if he'd say, he wouldn't say that's none of your business. He was too polite for that. But he wouldn't necessarily take you inside the circle like that.
He's more old school than coaches today.
Yeah.
I just to me that's something sacred with the coaches and players. I don't think it should be broadcast.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to disagree with you. Shelley says this: East Loop and slide stand still. So if you're out and about and trying to get somewhere, keep that in mind. Let's see here. I don't know enough about that. Everything Jamie just said, spot on. Chuck, there really is no reason for additional comment. Just say amen. Okay, Jamie, amen.
I'm not a preacher.
Yeah, sometimes. I think you could be. You would not be the fiery sermon guy, but you'd be the common sense, every Sunday kind of guy that just steady Eddie. But sound good advice.
I would be really good at don't do what I do. Okay? Be better than I am. I would be really good at learn from my mistakes. That's what I would be good at.
Yeah. Amen. I'm just supposed to say amen. Let's see here. What else from the Yates Flooring Center chat line? Finally, an acceptable Christmas song. Ha ha, DMX.
That's a good one, too.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Thank you. If you want to be in the locker room, be a coach or player. Okay. Yeah. All Michigan has to say is we'll take the Kansas punishment. Okay. Racer 26. Yeah, this is kind of ironic. Avoid eastbound traffic on the South Loop, wreck between Indiana and Quaker. Traffic was stacked up almost a slide. That was from 20 minutes ago, so it's probably even worse now. Okay.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.